Hey everybody, here is a quick Algebra 1 end of course exam review on recognizing functions from equations. Today you should be able to recognize which of the four functions a given equation would represent. So you should be able to look at an equation and decide, is it linear, is it absolute value, is it exponential, or is it quadratic, or perhaps is it something else? If this is your first time hearing about those functions, you should watch my earlier video recognizing functions from their graphs. Alright, here we go. Algebra 1, four types of functions. Our four functions are linear, exponential, quadratic, and absolute value. If you want to be successful in Algebra 1, you got to be able to recognize these functions if you see them in the world. Okay, so first, I've got a whole group of linear functions for you. There are a couple of forms that would be familiar to you. You might have seen the y equals mx plus b form. You might have seen the either standard form, or something that's close to y equals mx plus b, or something that looks like point slope form, or maybe a modified point slope form. What all of these have in common is that they have x raised to the first power with no other functions going on. There's no x squared, there's no absolute value bars, you don't see a square root, you're not dividing by x, things like that. So the relationship between x and y is that x has to be raised to the first power in an equation with y and x. An absolute value is perhaps the easiest to see because x, the independent variable, is inside an absolute value bracket. If you know what an absolute value bracket or absolute value bars look like, if you see an x inside, that's probably, in Algebra 1, an absolute value function. So that's going to be your key. You're looking for those straight bars, those absolute value bars. Quadratic equations are one that have x, the independent variable, raised to the second power. So unlike linear functions, which would just have something like y equals negative 4x minus 16, we have the 2x squared thrown in there. Now it doesn't matter if that x squared is positive or negative, or what number is in front of it. Something is quadratic if the relationship between y and x is that x is raised to the second power and in an equation with y to the first power. Finally, exponential functions. This one's we have a nice mnemonic for, and that mnemonic is something is exponential if x is in the exponent. So here, instead of 2 times x or x squared, we have 2 raised to the x. So x is in the exponent. It is not the base, so the change is very different for this type of function. Something like 1/3 to the x, or 5 to the x minus 2. Here x is in the exponent. Alright, that's what I got for you today in this video. Hope you enjoyed it. See you around.